Hi everybody, this is Quinn with Wide Perspective Photoshop Actions. Today I'm going to be going over my flawless collection. I'm going to go through it step by step so that way I can show you what each individual action does and how you can use it to improve your image and make your subject flawless. This right here we're looking at an after photo. This is the photo that I'm going to do with you today. So let's go ahead and click over to the before. Alright, so I'm going to start out this action and just go from top to bottom. Right over here where you see the Wide Perspective Flawless Collection, this is where it should have downloaded into your actions area. I have listed these in a manner that you can use them in order. So going from top to bottom, that's how I use them for my workflow. So I wanted to make them easy for you to use for your workflow. Now this particular image does not need a red skin reducer. However, I do want to show you at least what every action does, so I'm going to run it anyway just to show you what it does. So here I'm going to click on my red skin reducer. I'm going to hit play and it'll run the action. If you notice, for any beginners to Photoshop, the way it works with actions is when you see a black mask right here, you are going to paint on that mask with a white brush. Now for those of you who are familiar with Photoshop, I do apologize. I am going to go pretty slow in this tutorial just so everybody can kind of get a grasp for how this works. So because red skin reduction is a black mask, we're going to use a white brush to paint over it. I'm just going to show you what it does to this particular picture. I'm just going to paint over. We have the white brush selected. It's at an opacity right up here, opacity of 30%. I'm going to actually bring that up to 100% so you guys can see it just for teaching purposes. I'm going to paint all over it. Okay, now just to see a before and after. This is after the red skin reduction was ran over top of the skin, or brushed over top of the skin. And that was before. This is after. See how all that redness kind of comes out? It's subtle, but it's there. Okay, so I'm going to actually delete this because I like the pink that's in her skin. I'm not going to use the red skin reduction for this particular image. But I'm going to move down here to the under eye concealer. This one is a really important one for me. It's a subtle one, but it is important, and I love to use it because dark bags underneath the eyes are pretty common nowadays. Okay, so I just ran that brush, and if you notice, we still have a black mask, so we are going to be using a white brush to paint over top of it. Now I've made it kind of simple for everybody. I have actually built into all of the actions themselves. I go ahead and choose the brush tool as well as the soft round brush for you. And then I also choose the white round brush for you as well. Now sometimes depending on whether or not your specific Photoshop is programmed, some of them are programmed a little bit differently. So the main setting for swatches can be opposite. So if you notice that it's not on the white brush, just make sure you change it over to the white brush. It's really quick and easy. You just make sure it's white. Okay, concealer brush. I'm going to go ahead and make my brush small, and I'm going to paint right underneath the eyes. And you can kind of see that shadow going away already. If you notice right up here, I'm at 100% opacity still. We'll go over the other eye really quick. I'm going to make it even smaller because there's a little bit of shadow right up here going up to her eye. I just wanted to lighten it up a touch. Okay, so now this is really cool too because you can come over here to the opacity on top of the concealer action itself, and this is where I usually like to change the opacity myself because I like to see what I'm doing. And you can pull it back and bring it up, and you see what that does, what that action just did. So I'm actually going to keep it ran at 100% because I like what that does for underneath her skin. I'm going to go ahead and flatten the image, go right over here to layer and flatten image. We want to do that after each and every action because playing them on top of one another can sometimes get it all mixed up. So you just want to make sure that you always flatten your image before you move on to the next action. That's just how I built my actions. Some people don't build their actions that way, so just know that for my specific ones you will need to flatten. Okay, I'm going to play the luminous skin action. It's just a simple action. All you're going to do is, you notice right here you have a black mask, so we're going to paint with a white brush, which is already selected for you, and we're just going to go over it at 100% opacity and illuminate her skin right up, make her nice and pretty. Now, I think this is a little too bright, but I like to run it at 100% opacity on my brush right here, just like I said before, so I can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to go over here to the action itself, click on it, and I'm just going to pull the opacity back just a little bit on the action in specific. Now I like it right about there. It's about 39%. I think that looks really pretty. Now I'll show you the before and after illuminating the skin. See, nice pretty skin tones. All right, now I'm going to run over to the, oh, see, I almost forgot to flatten. Let's flatten that image, or flatten the layers. There we go. Now I'm going to run the flawless skin action. Now, this specific action usually takes a little bit longer to run because it's running multiple filters, and it just takes longer for Photoshop to process all of the data and whatnot to make the changes with the filter. So we're just going to wait here for just a little bit. And I don't want you to feel like I'm drilling this into you, but again, when you're using these actions, pay attention to the mask, what color the mask is, and always paint with the opposite color brush. So if you have a black mask, paint with a white brush. If you have a white mask, you're going to paint with a black brush. And that's just how you get the actions to show or to conceal or reveal. Now, if you haven't heard of black conceals, white reveals, it's a really good trick to remember and to learn. You usually use the white brush to reveal whatever action is being played. You use the black brush to conceal it. It's kind of an easy way to remember white and black. See, we still have this action running, so I'm just trying to educate you as we go. Let's just wait a little bit longer. There we go, all done. Okay, so flawless skin is a really heavy skin smoothing action. It is gonna make your skin flawless. I will brush over her skin at 100% opacity with my brush. It's gonna look really over edited, but I'm going to adjust the opacity back over here in my action after I'm done. Again, that's because I like to see what I'm doing. So here I am, I'm just gonna run right over her skin. Make sure you don't go over everything. So all of the detail stuff like her eyebrows and her eyelashes and all of that detail in her face, you just wanna make sure you do not go over that with this specific action because it'll take out the details. You just don't wanna do it. Go over her nose here just a touch. Now the ridge of her nose, I'm going to be sure not to go over the ridge of her nose because that's an added detail that you want to keep intact. Let's go right underneath here. I actually sometimes even like to use, I'm going to zoom in. And to zoom in, you just, on a Mac, you're going to hit Command and then your plus button, plus key. I sometimes even like to do a little bit of this smoothing right underneath the eyebrow just in case they have some like little stray hairs or anything like that. I'm going to do just a little there, just a little here, a little down here. Okay, let's zoom back out. So here is her skin, nice and flawless, but to me it's just a little over edited. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over up here to the flawless skin and I'm going to just pull it back. I'm going to pull it back until I think it looks natural and to a spot that I like, which is right about there. I like that. I think she has some really cute freckles in her skin, so that's why I kind of wanted to pull it back a little bit because I just think that those specific details are going to be really pretty. All right, so now I'm going to flatten, layer, flatten my image. We're going to go down here to twinkling eyes. Go ahead and play that action. Now this action is one just to bring out the twinkle in your eye. Some photographers make the mistake of running a sharpening action over the whole entire eye. To my specific preference, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it's just not my specific preference. That's why I made these actions to associate with the eye separately. So this one in particular just deals with the twinkle, with the catch lights. And the catch lights are these little white specks that are created by either the flash that you use or by the sunlight that is present when you're taking the pictures during the session. So I'm just running over her catch lights. The brush is set to 100%. In the instructions, I say to use 30%. You can do it that way, or you can actually come over here to the action and pull back the action's opacity to about 30%. I'm actually going to use a little bit more with hers. I want some really nice eye poppage. Okay, so I chose 54%. So now I'm going to flatten, because that's really all you need this action for, is that specific. Where am I? There we go. Flatten my image. Now I'm going to run the Vivid Eye Color brush. Okay, we have a black mask right up here. I have a white brush, which should already be chosen for you in the action. And now I'm going to make my brush just the size of her iris, right around here, the color part of her eye. And I'm going to paint just over top. And it adds that nice color, beautiful vivid eye color pop to her eyes. Now to some people this may be just a little bit too much, but I like to have a nice, beautiful, like eye-catching eye. So I typically use my Vivid Eye Color brush to its max, unless it just looks a little too over-edited to me. It's just going to be your specific preference and to your own liking. So here I'm going to zoom out. You can kind of see what this is doing to her eyes already. It's beautiful. All right, so now I'm going to flatten this image. Now I've been going to the layer flatten image part this whole time to flatten, but you actually, I have a low battery. But you actually can go to the bottom of the collection, and I have a flatten your image action. So all you have to do is play that action and it flattens it for you. You don't have to go all the way up to the menu button and all that good stuff. So here we have the bold lashes and liner action. You have a black mask, again, white brush, and I am just going to run over her lashes just a touch. Sometimes you just want to do this very, very lightly because it adds a whole lot of liner and just like bold lash to it. Sometimes it can be just a little too much. To me, what I'm running it at right now does look like a little too much, but we're going to take care of that in just a second. Okay, so now I'm going to come right over here to the eyeliner and lashes action and bring back the opacity on just the action. We'll come right to about there. Let me zoom out. That'll give me a better judgment on what I like or don't like. So here we have it at 100%, which is like, whoa. And now we're going to pull it back. I like it right about there, 33%. That's good for me on this particular picture. Now I'm going to run my flatten your image action. And the next thing we have is pearly whites. Now, she doesn't have her teeth showing in this picture, but I'm going to at least run the action just to show you what I've provided for you to use whenever you do have teeth in your picture. There are 3 separate layers. One is for whitening the teeth, one is for removing any redness, and then the last one is for removing any yellow. I suggest that you just play around with these. Sometimes you may only need the whitening, sometimes you may only need removing the yellow, sometimes you might need all 3. And in those for instances, you just click on each one and make sure that you're highlighted over the mask. If you're not highlighted over the mask and you're highlighted over here, you'll be painting, it'll just be funky. Actually, you know what, it won't even let you paint. So just make sure you're on the mask. Once you're done making those adjustments, then you can just flatten. We'll play that action to flatten. Next thing would be our cheek and lip pinch. This is just to add back a little bit of that rosiness into the cheeks and a little bit more color into the lips. I love this action. I use it all the time. I'm going to actually run it at, we're going to run right up here at an opacity of 100% just so I can see where I'm putting it. And then if I want to make, went a little bit too much. So in order to take that off right here, see how I got into her hair just a little bit? I'm going to hit the X button. And what that X button is going to do right over here in my swatches, it's going to change the white brush to a black brush. And I'm going to paint right over where I put that. And it's going to erase what I just did because it's a black mask. When you paint a black brush on a black mask over a white area, it erases what you did. So because I made that mistake, all I had to do was choose my black brush and paint over my mistake, and it just took care of it. Now I'm going to hit X again, and it's going to change my swatches right over here back to the white brush. And now I'm going to go over my lips just a touch. So we have it set at 100% opacity. It's just a little bit too much for me on the lips. So I'm going to actually change my brush again, hit the X button. I'm going to brush over my lips. I'm going to do my lips in a separate action. So right now we're just going to do the cheeks. But let's put a little bit of, we're going to change the swatch back to white. We're going to put a little bit of pink right back on this cheek. And here you have nice pink cheeks. A little too much. So right up here at this opacity, bringing it back just a little. Okay, so now I'm going to flatten this image. Actually, you know what? I think her cheek is just a little too pink on this side. Let me switch back to black. Erase it off just a little bit. I can do just a little bit by bringing back this opacity to about 30%. There we go. A little bit more. Okay. Bring back to 100. Bring back to a white brush. And now we're going to flatten. And then now we'll run that cheek and lip pinch one more time. And this time I'm just going to do it on the lips. Okay, lots and lots of pink lips. So let's pull that back because it's a little bit too much for me. That looks really good right there at 72%. Okay, now I'm going to flatten here. Okay, so the last action we have in this particular collection is the sharp details action. What this does is it's just going to allow you the opportunity to go in and sharpen anything that you really want to have a detailed pop to. I like to use this action whenever I'm editing children, if they have like a really cute bow in their hair, or I don't know, sometimes I, use cute props like a cute hat over a senior or something like that, and you just want to bring out that detail. This is the perfect action for that. So I ran the action, you can see it right up here, using a white brush. Here, I will just go over one of her dreadlocks here. See how it just brings in all that detail to her dreadlock? Now, obviously, I'm not going to want to keep it that way. I don't really want to bring detail to her dreadlocks, but it just shows you kind of what it does here to this little patch of hair. I'll bring some detail in there. See? Just brings a little bit of detail. Makes it pop. But I don't really want it on this action, so I'm going to delete it. All right. So now you have, right here in the history, this is our finished product, our finished picture. We had our before, and now we have our after. Now, if you just wanted to add a little bit of extra pop, you can also check out some of my other collections. Let's go right up here just to my simple vignette collection right up here. If you just run a few vignettes on it, it can really do great things to an image just to bring out your subject, make the image pop because it surrounds your subject. So I'm just going to do a quick tangerine vignette. Now this specific action is also a paint on action because sometimes the subject is in different places, so I let you pick where you want the vignette painted on. So I'm going to paint it all around the edges here, a little bit inside, just surrounding her hair and her face. Okay. I like this, but I think it'll look really, really good with a rich matte vignette as well. So I am going to flatten the image and play my rich matte vignette with it. Okay, and this one also is a paint on. Now this one's pretty heavy, so I'm going to bring back its opacity probably to about 30%. Just lightly go over. So just kind of highlight her. We want her to be the nice, bright, and shiny in the center of this picture. So we're just going to darken the vignette just a touch. And there we go. Let's flatten one last time. I'm finished with this image. I'm really, really happy with it. I'm just going to show you a quick before and after. Before and after. And again, this is using the wide perspective Completely Flawless, or I'm sorry, the Wide Perspective Flawless Collection, as well as a few finishing actions from my vignette collection. Again, this is Quinn Lacasse, and if you'd like to see more actions or more tutorials on how to use my actions, please visit me at www.wide-perspective.com.